You know, I think one of the hardest questions I've ever had to answer, it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. It's been where I belong. And I'm not just talking about physically. I'm talking about just in general. Sometimes I wonder if that's why I've spent so much of my life moving around, from house to house, city to city, job to job, relationship to relationship, and now from country to country. Maybe I've been looking for something that isn't actually a place. Maybe I've just been looking for a feeling. As I sit with my last evening in Santa Marta, eating my last meal, watching the football game. It's funny how quickly somewhere that was once unfamiliar can start feeling normal. You learn where your favorite restaurant is, you know which streets get busy and when. You recognize the people who are working at the cafe and restaurant that you frequent. You stop feeling like a visitor, honestly. And it's like as soon as you get to that energy or space of comfort, you leave again. And that's honestly become my life. Learning places just long enough to say goodbye to them once again. Tomorrow, I'll be taking a bus back to Cartagena. I'll get there around midnight. Then I'll wait a few hours at the airport before catching my 4:30 a.m. flight to Cali. The city that everyone keeps warning me about because it's actually seen as being one of the top dangerous cities in Colombia. Yet somehow I'm excited. And as I sit here relishing in my last sunset, people watching, seeing people celebrate outside in the streets, it fills my heart up to be able to be in that space and to say I experienced this. Because every new city that I've gone to, it feels like another chance to discover another version of myself that I've yet to meet. Maybe that's just the human design reflector in me. But I want to get a little vulnerable. Lately, I've been thinking about something that happened last month, you know. Well, something that happened that I didn't even know that it happened until recently. It was my 20th high school reunion. 20 years since I've graduated high school. And I didn't even know that it took place until after it was over. I didn't get any invitations, no messages, nothing. And it's so interesting because I helped plan the 10-year and even the 15-year. Maybe it was just assumed that I couldn't come because I lived outside of the country. Maybe it's because no one knew how to contact me because I no longer have my same Facebook pages that I once had. Maybe that's just what it was. I wasn't in the places where it was advertised. And honestly, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not on Facebook. I don't have friends on Facebook. And I don't keep up with everyone. I've kind of lived inside my own little bubble for years now, into my adulthood. There's pros and cons to that. I'm one of the ones who left my hometown. But that's interesting because if you ask people from high school who I was, most people knew me. I was on the varsity cheer squad. I was a flag girl in the band. I graduated in the top 10 of my class. I received the most scholarships out of everyone. I had friends, at least associates. And my dad was basically a hometown celebrity. People knew my face. But Knowing someone and feeling like you belong in those places, they're not the same thing. I think I was what you would call the popular loner. I could move between groups, friend groups. I was friends with the students in special education. I was friends with the popular people, the sports players, the cheerleaders. I was associates with everyone. I could really move between different groups of people and I could talk to almost everybody. But deep down, I still kind of always felt slightly outside of everything. Like everyone else had been handed a script to follow and to live off of or to connect with. And I was just simply improvising in the moment and in the spaces. And it was like once the day was over, I would go home. And when I got home, I wasn't doing what everyone else was doing. Like, I was reading fantasy books. I love my Harry Potter books. I would write little short stories and books in my journals, poetry. I was obsessing over mythology. I loved reading about magic, spirituality, astrology, psychology. I actually, when I went off to college, I said I wanted to become a psychologist. And I kind of did that a little bit, with my work that I do now as a hypnotherapist. But I literally was creating entire worlds inside of my notebooks. And I love things that weren't exactly considered cool, where I grew up. Baby, the culture around me was real hood, honey, okay? it was ghetto. It was the ghetto, honey, okay? But I loved it. It's like even in that love though, you don't exactly walk around talking about astrology or fantasy novels and not be looked at like you're weird. On top of that, it was a very religious community. So I learned to keep certain parts of myself hidden. I learned how to hide. And as I look back, I wonder how much of myself I edited as I did that. Just to blend in. Not because anyone told me to, but because I wanted community. I wanted friends. And I wanted to feel accepted. And then adulthood came. And somehow it felt exactly the same. Every job that I had, it always seemed like everyone else naturally found their people. And I'm not saying I didn't have people I hung out with. I did have people who I would hang out with, but I never felt like we had deep connections. And sometimes it kind of felt like they would be making sideways jokes and shit. And I ain't like that because I could always see through that fake shit. But it's like, it always seemed like everyone else naturally found their people. They'll go to their happy hours. They will have weekend trips, birthday dinners, inside jokes. And meanwhile, there was me. I'll be sitting there wondering, how does everyone know each other so well? Why does this always seem to happen, no matter how much I try to build something? Alright, so this is the apartment. There's the porch. Couch. My luggage is packed up. Closets. Bed. Gotta put my shirt on. Counter. Kitchen. Bathroom. Me. Yeah, I'm ready. So checkout is at 11 and my bus doesn't leave until 6 p.m. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of like stick around in this area in this neighborhood for a while. They said I can leave my luggage here and then I'm gonna head to the bus station around like 5 o'clock. It's like it came a point where I stopped trying harder to fit into spaces and I decided that I wanted to create my own communities. You know, in college, I had my group of friends and I would have get togethers. My boyfriend and I at that time, we would have game nights and things of that nature, and we would cook for everyone, and you know, it'll be a vibe. When I got into education, I kind of started being more of a loner. I had one friend that I would communicate with. And then when I created my business, that's when I really started building my own communities. You know, I would organize get togethers and retreats and little events. And I think a lot of it was because I didn't want anyone else to feel lonely or to feel left out of certain aspects. I wanted other people to feel like they belonged when they were around me. And it's like in college, I also had networking groups. I would create study groups. We would do annual vision board parties at my house. I would find any type of way to get people together. And as I look back, it was like, you know, maybe I wasn't just building community. Maybe I was just trying to build the community I wish that other people would have invited me into. Because I've always been the one to invite everyone else. Where were my invites? The older I get, the more I'm accepting something about myself. I'm honestly socially awkward. And honestly, I don't even know why that feels so hard to admit. Because I've been good with being like a chameleon and being able to fit into my environments, you know. I rehearse conversations though in my head before I have them with people. Then when they're over, I replay them for a week or so, wondering if I sounded weird or if I said something wrong or if I potentially offended someone, you know, wondering if I talked too much or if I made someone uncomfortable or if I should have said something differently, you know. And I really sit with the aspect of, I really feel there's a reason for that. Now, I haven't been formally evaluated, but I have taken more autism screenings online than I can count, okay? And every single one of them tells me that there is a strong probability that I'm somewhere on the spectrum. And I'm an INTJ on Myers-Briggs. Yeah, that. It's like every personality test that I've ever taken, I always get the rarest personality types. The INTJ, the Human Design Reflector, Enneagram 4, like few people are like me, you know, and still sometimes it's kind of hard. But it's like I don't know for certain if I'm autistic. But I can definitely say that the signs are there, you know. And I know a lot of people don't like for you to claim something that you haven't been professionally assessed for. But oftentimes, like, when you do know something, you know it. And when I get the money to be able to get evaluated, I'm going to do it. And I think that's just for the peace of me and to have an explanation for others who may question, you know. But what I do know is that I've spent my entire life feeling different. And maybe I really am just finally ready to understand why. And as I say, maybe I'm going to change that shit because I am ready, okay? And I don't want to do it so that I can put myself inside of a box. I want to do it because I'm tired of wondering. I want to do it because I want to have an explanation for what's going on inside of me. When I found out that everyone doesn't have an inner dialogue, I was like, what the fuck do they do? They brain just be quiet? Like, so many things within me points to being on the spectrum, but I've been able to mask for so long and to get by that nothing really stood out. Now, when I was a child, my dad did have me see a psychologist, but he didn't do his job, if you ask me. Okay? He didn't do his damn job, but it is what it is. But sometimes I think becoming a digital nomad made all the perfect sense to me, because if I, you know what I'm saying, don't feel like I belong anywhere, maybe I can just belong everywhere. Or maybe I can stop putting so much pressure on just one place or one group of people to finally make me feel complete. It's like there's a line I keep thinking about. If I don't belong anywhere, then maybe I'll just experience everywhere. Maybe belonging isn't somewhere waiting for me. Maybe it's something that I'm building, from one country, one conversation, and one version of myself at a time. It reminds me of the movie that I just watched with my members in Discord, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And look, if you're looking for a community or a space to connect with, go on and find us over there on Discord. You don't have to be a member to have access to the Discord. My members just have access to, different channels and things of that nature. Even if you just want to have somewhere to hang out. We're having a game night this upcoming weekend. Come join us. I'll put the link inside the description box and the pinned comment. And as I prepare to travel to another place, as y'all can see, I chose to fly with Avianca again. Okay. I found a one-way business class ticket for $100, y'all. And that included access to all of the VIP lounges. And so I was able to go to the VIP lounge in Cartagena, and I was able to go to the VIP lounge in Bogota. So y'all gonna see that in a second too. I had to take a break and let y'all know what y'all was seeing on the screen, honey. Okay, y'all see all this damn food they got? Fresh juice, okay, fresh juice, fresh fruits, all that jazz, baby. It was a vibe. And y'all know how Cartagena is when it comes to getting on their planes. You have to walk outside, and I like how they had a ramp this time around, because the last times we've had to walk upstairs to get onto the plane, but this time we had a ramp, and I actually loved that about the process, honey. Okay, I apologize for the wobbly cameras too. Listen, honey, I just be walking. And when I'm walking, the camera be wobbling with me, honey, okay? But my first leg of the flight is going into Bogota for my layover. And then I'll be making it into Cali. But back to the conversation, okay? I really feel like one of my subconscious wounds that I'm working through is the sense of working through my anxiousness around people. Like, even though I want to be around people and stuff, I be feeling anxious, like I'm doing something wrong. And I really be hoping, like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not performing, like, not showing some of those quirky parts of myself and all of that jazz. Like, awkward. But that's something that I'm also working through as a content creator, because putting yourself online forces all of those old questions to come back up to the surface. Like, what about me makes people scroll away? Why don't people, more people want to watch? Why don't more people trust me enough to work with me? Like, am I boring? Are you not entertained enough? Am I too different, too thoughtful, too quiet, too much? Or do I care too damn much? I don't know. Because here's the thing, I've watched people lives change through my work. I've watched clients reconnect with themselves. I've watched people overcome fears that controlled them for years. I've seen the transformations. I know it works. So when people don't choose me, it will be really easy to, try to make that mean that, hey, I'm not enough, even though I know that I am. Shit. But these are the types of questions that can still sometimes come up. Now, real quick, y'all. Jugo de Maracuya is so freaking good. Passion fruit juice, so freaking good. Y'all see how this lounge is? I absolutely love this lounge. This is one of the lounges that have showers. Now y'all see why I said I like Avianca's lounge better than Copa's lounge. Baby, they got everything. Everything. I just had to stop for a second to point that out for y'all, okay? But back to the conversation, honey. I've really had to learn something like much harder and deeper. It's like when rejection shows up, I have to make sure I don't reject myself in that process, because that becomes a real danger. It's not the sense of someone else telling me no. It's the danger in if I decide to want to agree with them. Okay? That's not good. And if I'm being honest, because y'all know I love to be honest, honey, I've spent my whole life wanting the same things, honestly. I want to feel seen. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel celebrated for me and not for what I do for other people and how I can show up for other people. Simply for being me. And I know it's possible because I see it happen every day for other people. It's like I've always been the one celebrating everyone else. Like the one throwing the parties, planning the events, decorating, showing up, helping clean up, encouraging, cheering people on. And when I really sit with that shit, I realize like almost every celebration I've ever had and as an adult, and honestly, I won't even say almost all of them, I planned it. I paid for it, my birthdays, my get-togethers, graduations. It's like if I wanted people to come together, I just decided to make it happen. And the only exception was when my dad and my uncle helped me celebrate earning my Master's of Social Work degree. But outside of that, I've usually been the one creating every freaking moment. And sitting with that realization, that shit kind of hurt, Because sometimes you don't want to be the one to organize your own celebration. Sometimes you want someone to think of you first. But when you're up in the air, and I think that's why I like flying on the planes, you don't have time to really think about that. You're not crying. And when I looked out my window, I saw this beautiful rainbow across the sky. And it was right after I woke up from a nap, y'all. It was so freaking beautiful. But as I'm recording this, like, I didn't expect to cry this much, like, talking about it. I'm gonna be honest. But I guess that's what, reflection can do. When you're reflecting on your constant movements, when you don't have as many distractions and you can hear yourself more clearly. And I think that's why this season just feels so different. I'm not traveling through just countries anymore. I'm traveling through old versions of myself. I'm meeting the little girl who never quite fit in. I'm meeting the teenager who hid pieces of herself. And I'm meeting the adult who kept trying to earn her belonging. And slowly, I'm telling all of them, you don't have to audition anymore, my love. You don't have to audition. You can just be. Because maybe belonging was never something other people were supposed to hand to me. Maybe it just started the moment that I stopped abandoning myself just to be accepted. And as I've arrived to Cali, in another city, another area, I'll probably still be searching for some things, but it's not in a desperate way. Because, maybe the point wasn't in finding one place that finally feels like home. And maybe, it's just remembering that home is in every version of me that I finally stopped trying to leave behind in various spaces. So I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace the journey. I'm going to love on the journey. And I'm going to love on myself in that process. And just know that what's going to be is going to be. And I'm going to be exactly where I need to be at the right time. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And I'll see you all in the next one. Make sure to check out all the links down below inside of the pinned comments. Ashe.